and hear the message, we know the Spirit is speaking to us. We know that what is ours to do, and so it is.
Good morning. Good morning. What a joy it is to be here once again. And certainly this is a time of change on many different levels. So I've changed the focus today. For the focus, or the topic basically, was a little bit different from the CSL, and it was say their name. And I changed that to be someone's answered prayer. And the two will kind of blend together. But with today's message, I'm here for probably a time to be remembered. I won't be with you again for a while. And that's why it is that I'm choosing to be a part of my inner thoughts to share with each of you as we move into this aspect of just saying their name, being a part of something powerful and beautiful, and that is being a part of someone's answered prayer. So each week, CSL has a different theme, as I stated. And of course, for the month of May, which we are just wrapping up, is Holy, Holy Uprising. So you know that has a great deal of energy behind it. And the music that Adrian chose for us today certainly was a moving, spiritual, uprising kind of energy. So I want us to begin at a very deep spiritual level. And as we think about the theme that CSL has established, say their name, I immediately went to the names of individuals whom have brought us to this point, to the sense of belief that we call religious science or science of mind. And of course, I automatically think of our founder, Ernest Holmes. But I think about the various persons, the personalities that Ernest Holmes drew from. And I just want to state some of those names that came to my mind, such as Mary Baker Eddy, Emma Curtis Hopkins, Joel Goldsmith, Thomas Troward, Ralph Waldo Emerson, all the way back to Aristotle and Plato and Socrates, Einstein, and of course Jesus, and so many more creative, empowering minds that grasped and lifted the magnitude, the dynamics of what prayer is all about. Each of them contributing to this wonderful inspiration that we live and breathe and essentially live today. So I want us all to know the value of our own thinking, that you too are a contributor to what it is that is believed within yourself. So today's lesson is all about looking at what CSL teaches or brings to us to consider each Sunday, but it is also about CSL Beaumont, as CSL Beaumont goes through this process of once again becoming new, different. And with that newness of being different is, as we have heard me speak about the individuals from early times, from Aristotle, Socrates, early Grecian times, that here we are in 2021 with the value of the minds that are here today, including each one of us. So we're going to look at these times that are both changeable within our environment. They're changing within our politics. They're changing within ourselves, within the consciousness of our own individual lives, within each of us as we live and make choices each day different. And sometimes it's momentary, moment by moment change. So I want to bring to you a quote that inspired me from Ralph Waldo Emerson. And he says, "The purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful, to be honorable, to be compassionate, to have it make some difference that you will have lived well. For me, that was quite a stretch, and it really opened my eyes differently to what it is that we are living in today's time. To say the name of those individuals that have empowered and made this quality difference in our world. To say the names of our parents, our grandparents, those individuals that have walked through your individual lives that have created and made a welcome difference for you. I think about the names of the individuals, and certainly I have not the ability to quote them because I know some of them as being Reverend Carter and his wife, Catherine, and others that I have known through this center, Reverend Dr. Ruth Wilkerson, and so many others that I've heard you speak of. And I say you, those of you whom I know that have spoken of the different beautiful individuals that have passed on from this life, but yet their legacy is here. Their imprint is here. Our Reverend Dr. Liz. So the kingdom of heaven is right here, right now. It is the interior reality which we could experience right here and now, and we do all the time when we think about it. The individuals that I had spoke to with regards to saying their names from early on that brought forth this intellectual philosophy, this blessing of a philosophy, the intellectual personal warmth and gift of each of us that have come through the lineage of our family tree. They too lived within the kingdom of heaven. So we have to realize how alive we are, that the world seems to focus totally on what is external and measurable. Few seem to get the centrality of our interiors. This is where it is that we give thanks for the fact that we have turned within, that we have moved within, that we experience that within movement of the living Spirit of God within each and every one of us. And it is, again, due to those wonderful minds that have questioned and sought for answers for themselves in their living times continuously changing. I turn to the Bible, and in Mark, 2nd chapter, 11th verse, he says, I say unto thee, arise and take up thy bed. So I ask you, what is holding each of us tightly back? What it is that we have not allowed ourselves to move deeper, as I call it, taking that deep dive, into a greater understanding and acceptance. We can oftentimes understand, but do we accept a deeper faith? So I thought to myself, what would Jesus say to this moment? He would say, arise, pick up your bed and walk, as Mark has told us in the Bible. So what we must do is that we must be careful to look at what is our mat? What is that rug? What is that bed that is so relatable within our own lives? That we hope, rather than one's ability to trust, knowing that there is something greater within oneself, that we allow ourselves to say stuck. We allow ourselves not to make a choice, to make a movement, to accept the conditions of change. That's where we are in the world. That's where we are within the world of CSLB. And we must accept with uttermost faith that this process is evolving in and of itself because of itself. So we look within ourselves to become stronger individuals. We look within ourselves to find that sense of faith of who it is that we are individually. We look at the faith of those individuals that have brought you here to this moment in time, to what it is that you believe and what it is that you accept and what it is that you live as through yourself each and every day. So my message then turned to be someone's answered prayer. just simply to be someone's answered prayer, which means that there's a rich quality within each one of us that arises, that lives to the totality of our utmost best. That sense of that power of greatness that knows that we stand on the faith that we believe is true. So I'm going to invite you at some point in time when it's necessary for you, and I say it's necessary now at this time of change for CSLB, to open your Science of Mind textbook and open to chapter 10. Chapter 10 is on faith. And the writings there, I think it speaks so beautifully to what it is that we're talking about, what I'm talking about in relationship to you. So I'm going to read some parts of it that made sense for me, and I hope it translates to making sense for you. And the you that I speak of is the individual membership, those who come and are attracted to the teachings of the Science of Mind, those of you who are living it to the best and the utmost of what it is that you know it to be true. Because as we know, we never arrive. We're always on purpose. We're always becoming so much greater than ever thought possible. So on page 155, I'm going to read the first two paragraphs. And it says, the mental approach. The universe is a spiritual system. Its laws are those of intelligence. We approach it through the mind, which enables us to know, will, and act. Prayer, faith, and belief are closely related mental attitudes. Prayer is a mental approach to reality. It is not the symbol, but the idea symbolized that makes prayer effective. Some prayers are more effective than others. Some only help us to endure, while others transcend conditions and demonstrate an invisible law which has power over the visible. Insofar as our prayer is affirmative, it is creative of the desired results. Why I chose that section to read to you today, as the Science of Mind textbook says, always a power. In our daily confusion, in our daily living, in our daily desires to be something far more assertive and aggressive, and maybe not so much aggressive, but aggressive from the standpoint of positivity, that we choose to move further ahead in our world of living, that it's important to realize that there is a power at work. There is a power at work, and when we can turn to it, not the power within our individual selves, that power brings about a result that none of us could have ever imagined. It just happens. And that's the beauty of knowing that we know that there is a power within us and that we can use it. Ernest Holmes, again in his wisdom thought on page 157, paragraph 2, he says, when we use our creative imagination in strong faith, it will create for us out of the one substance whatever we have formed in thought. In this way, man becomes a co-creator with God. There will never be an end to any of the eternal verities like truth, love, beauty, that Trinity. Truth, love, and beauty. There will never be an end to God, nor to any of the attributes which are co-eternal and coexistent with God. That means you and me. If we are wise, we shall cultivate a faith in these realities. And I know as sure as I'm standing here that each of us is wise within ourselves. And if you don't believe that about yourself, call a practitioner, call a minister, but don't call a friend who gossips, because they may not give you the ultimate truth. Call someone who truly knows the faith and truth of what we believe. Come to church. Invite a friend. This is not a difficult task, but a thrilling experience. I love that. I love that. A thrilling experience. Because that's all that life is one continuous experience, one after another. So I am taking liberty to speak with spiritual authority to be someone's answered prayer. Because each of us has this ability to walk through living life. Life is eternal. It is our individual livingness that brings us to the aspect, to the need, the fulfillment of reaching into and for and deeply within the power of prayer. So being that answered prayer for someone else means that if someone comes along within your family, sometimes that ultra personality within oneself, that just simply says, I need prayer. And maybe they may not verbalize it, but however their actions shows that they're in need of prayer because they're not within the space of truth, of the reality of their truth, that God is. So they've missed the mark. So each of one of us has a certain quality of strength. There is a conviction within this community, and why I'm weaving in CSL Beaumont, because that conviction of truth that holds this center together has been from the time that I recall, and I have heard many times from Reverend Carter, that this is what this energy is all about here at this church. So it's about each and every one of you that are here present now as you go through another process of change. And it's not doom and gloom, but change always brings about a new day, a new resurrection, and that gift of resurrection comes from you. It comes from each one of you bringing a newness, an energy, a commitment of faith to know that there is a power for good operating here. And that power of good that is good is working through each one of you. So we set our own individualities aside so that we can come together as community to continuously be about that process of prayer, maintaining that faith. There is always a power. When we get into the mix, I guess I might want to say, that we get into the point where we're challenging each other from a personality standpoint, I declare and I affirm at this moment with two beautiful people who just are in the process of completing their practitioner studies and having a practitioner here at the center and also a minister, Reverend Beverly, here in this center for the ministry of prayer, to just remember to turn to that power of faith that is beyond the personality, to allow yourselves to allay your personal choices, your dictates, aside, to look at what it is that you can agree to come to some consensus about the unified consciousness that is this community, because it's here. And it's always been here, and it has its ebb and flow, and it's no different than the wave is always a part of the ocean. There is never a wave that is aside from the ocean. There is never an ocean without a wave. So each and every one of you is a part of this wave, or is a wave, a part of this ocean, which we call CSL Beaumont. So in truth, there's always the availability, the accessibility to pray. CSL Beaumont is someone's answer. You are someone's answer. The you that is of you, the God self, is the answer, remembering to turn within. So I ask each of you, I'm going to present a couple of questions for you to consider. Am I willing to rise up, to open my heart? Am I willing to rise up to open my heart. For some, at some times, some circumstance, some situations, we have to turn to prayer and know that that deeper faith within us says, yes, I can. Yes, I will. Yes, I can be that. And another question, am I willing to participate in life with an open heart of faith? So when I'm willing to operate in life, to participate in life with an open heart of faith, then I can allow my personal needs, my personal quest, my personal desires to just become still. Because then I'm remembering that I'm a part of that which works here, and that's the collective consciousness. I don't have to be the owner or the solo element that makes things work, because there's only one solo element. And it takes all of us to come together in God consciousness of faith and community to make things work. And again, I ask you to look back over the years, call the names out within yourself of the individuals that have brought this center into a state of condition and of excellence that it is today. In 5 years, those of us that are here, that those of us that are able to look back over this day, this change of time as of June 1st, whereby there's a whole new process occurring, you'll begin to see, wow, because of the faith that we have held true to, the steps that we have taken, held through, or true to, have brought us through into this beautiful space of CSLB, becoming that aspect of the kingdom of heaven, because there are others who are coming because of their need for prayer. And we are here. We are that answered prayer for someone else. So it's so important to just, again, turn back to the Bible, which is kind of a collective source in so many ways. And in Mark, 2nd chapter, 11th verse, he says, I say unto thee, arise and take up thy bed. I guess I already read that. But again, I think it fits. That whole factor fits. That we must question ourselves when we're in the midst of what seemingly can appear as a storm. And I remember reading somewhere that when it is that we're in the deepest midst of turmoil, is when God has us, when we let go of the turmoil and God pulls us through the knothole. Because of that promise that you are never alone. And again, that quality of faith, just being in that present moment of assuring yourself to recognize and accept the absolute truth that God and I are one. That God and I are one. And I constantly turn back, back to a time of Easter at that critical moment when Jesus raised his voice and said, unto thy hands I commend my spirit. And each of us in the midst of a storm, do we not do that? Do we not surrender all of our ills and our confusions and whatever that is that we're living in the moment and just surrender unto God, knowing that there's a resolve greater than we are, that there is a power at work in us, as us, that brings us through, and we wake up to a new day? The church awakens to a new day, letting go of the yesterday. All of those involved in this process of change awaken to a new day. Totally fulfilling. Not fulfilled, but fulfilling, because it's ongoing. The goodness of who they each are moves on to greater love, to greater kindness, to greater sense of being cared about, to a greater sense of being honest and open to themselves, to a greater ability to receive the greater good. When pain pushes until the vision pulls, that pain, that daily struggle, is the universe pushing you towards your purpose. So somewhere within these few months, and certainly I've been with you, I think 5 weeks maybe, if there's a reason for me to be here, if it's nothing more than just simply, excuse me, to encourage, to enliven, to enlighten the fact that each one of you is so dear and so precious, that you are a community of wholeness, a community of mind, of heart and spirit. So you are ultimately someone's answer. There are those who are still waiting in the wings, so to speak, to come here, to be in this presence of learning how it is to be whole and content, how it is to just feel the presence of God living within them. So I'm going to read the last section here that I had marked off in my Science of Mind textbook to you. And it's the words of Jesus. If ye have faith as a grain of mustard seed, ye shall say unto this mountain, remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Faith is centered in and cooperates with divine mind. Because we fail to realize that principle is not bound by precedent, we limit our faith to that which has already been accomplished. And few miracles result. When through intuition, faith finds its proper place under divine law, there are no limitations. And what are called miraculous results follow. I personally want to be a part of the miracles unfolding. I choose to live my life, which doesn't mean that it's always easy. But I choose to live my life in faith. I choose to turn to those voices of the past that continuously bring before me truth, evidence, to release, to let go, to let God. In looking at this center, CSLB, I leave you today within this new beginning of creating a new heaven and a new earth, as is told in Revelations, because it's up to you. It's up to each and every one of you to be that answered prayer for another. And I want to close with something that I learned through another minister this past Wednesday, who's all the way down in Georgia. But she shared this comment that was provided her through Reverend David Alt, who is a wonderful religious science minister and sings, has a beautiful voice. But what he invited, or what she invited us to do, was to get up and walk around your house. And through every doorway that you cross, every threshold, just simply affirm within yourself, I am living and walking in heaven. I am living and walking in heaven. I tell you, I involved myself in that experience. And there was something very transformational about that. When it is that we can see and feel and integrate that oneness, that wholeness, that aliveness of just simply being here now, there is something about that divine energy that flows through us. And that even through the chaos, and there are a couple doorways or areas in my house, in my bedroom, in my bathroom, you know, those kinds of things. And I think, oh gosh, I didn't even see the disarray. I saw heaven, and I gave thanks that this is where I dwell. This is how I dwell. And then through faith, through that commitment of faith within me, empowered me to have a different view of who I am and where I am and how I live. So I invite you, when you come into the sanctuary here, and I understand the first part of June, you'll be walking in through the doors, those of you who choose to return to this wonderful, beautiful sanctuary. As you cross the threshold, say to yourself, I am stepping into heaven. I am stepping into heaven. Claim it, feel it, sense it, and know it. Because it is the presence of the living God as each and every one of you that brings you into this beautiful sanctuary, to bring the love, to be the prayer that is here, that prays for another, that prays for the self. And in knowing that this is the absolute truth that is spoken, that has always been spoken, to turn to love, to turn to God in faith. And again, I invite you to read chapter 10 in the Science of Mind textbook. It will change your life. So I thank you, I bless you, and it has truly been a joy and a pleasure to be here with you the last 5 Sundays. And what a joy it is to have Evonne and Adrian here with me to speak to you, and certainly on our Zoom community line at the end of the service is such a joy to just share it and know that as of next week, actually, Practitioner Corliss will have this wonderful place of bringing her lesson forward to you. But as of June 1st, or the first Sunday in June, that something wonderful and powerful is about to take off. Just enjoy the ride, add to it, never give up, and just remember the voices of yesterday. They're here and now. Add your voice to the richness and the faith consciousness that lives and breathes CSL Beaumont. And so it is. Amen. So let's just turn within right now. Oh, boy. What a joy it is to empty out, to share one's personal truth, to let go and let God be, to step away from the action of the mind chatter, stepping away from the condemnations that we can so easily bring upon ourselves, of the rights and the wrongs and the who done it and who didn't do it, and all of that kind of mind chatter, to just simply bask in that sense of faith consciousness. Just simply knowing God is as I am right here, right now. Claiming that authority, because there is that power within us that can lift us up, that lifts us up off of our bed of woes, that lifts us up and not only stands us up, but creates that first step and the second step. And the next thing you know, we're walking, and the next thing you know, we're running. And we're never breathless, because it is the ability to move forward creatively, energetically, in the beauty and the essence of that which is true. We allow the voices of yesterday to encourage us. We allow ourselves the ability to speak as a unified voice, to be that presence of prayer in this moment that propels this center forward, that propels each one of us in living our individual lives forward. It is that commitment to never accept being stuck. It is that commitment to always know there is always a new breath. There is always a new way. There is always that ability, that access, that ease way that brings us through into the next moment, that we are not stuck. So we have faith in the consciousness of newness, of rebirth, that collective consciousness that is always about change. Change is a continuum, never to be locked behind a door, never to be locked in any way other than despair that dissolves it. So we keep ourselves motivated, we keep ourselves center point, we keep ourselves within this space of faith, knowing that God is and that we are one with that which God is. We celebrate this good, we celebrate this joy, we celebrate this aliveness of the who and what it is that we be. So in knowing this and letting God go to do its work through as us, I release my word to the glory and to the joy of the yet to be that is forth at hand. Giving thanks, I bless it, I bless you, I bless myself. In a most loving way, I just simply allow it to be and affirm, and so it is. Amen. Thank you for being here, and thank you for having me. Blessings to each of you. Amen.
Thank you for participating in our service. You can do online giving by texting GIVE to 951-420-6909. You can visit our website at cslbeaumont.org and click the donate button at the bottom or the top of the screen. Or you can mail your donation to Center for Spiritual Living, 802 Maple Avenue, Beaumont, California, 92223. If you enjoyed this service and are watching on YouTube or Facebook, please like and share this video and add a comment on it. If you haven't already on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel and hit the little notification bell to be updated when we post new content. For those on Zoom, visit our Facebook page to comment and share to help spread this message.